Hello and welcome to this video on turning a grapevine into a bonsai. There are many candidates for fruiting bonsai. The common examples include crabapples, cherry and plums. All of these flower and fruit. Grapevines are an example of both a fruiting bonsai and a decorative species. It depends on whether or not you buy an ornamental grape or a fruiting grape. For the latter, it makes a little but some difference if you buy table, wine or preserving grapes. Of these, the former ornamental grapes are much easier. Grapevines are very resilient in terms of soil. You can get away with very poor quality substrates. To get the best out of your bonsai grapevine, you will want to use a soil mixture rich in organic matter that drains well and retains moisture. You could use a quality potting soil for this purpose, and it would be just as good. This is a situation in which a standard bonsai soil is perhaps not the best option. Repotting is simple if the vine is in good health, as with any bonsai. This is why you should only repot a grapevine carefully. Avoid repotting an unhealthy grapevine as they can be easily harmed or killed in the process. The soil choice is often similar if not the same as what a nursery stock grapevine will be growing in. That is also why daily watering is needed in summer, but the time between watering gets longer the closer to winter you are. You should water minimally in winter as the vine is dormant and may rot if waterlogged due to excessive watering. Be mindful that the large leaves of the grapevine will dry out quickly due to perspiration. Unlike other species, you cannot solve this with a humid environment. That means watering is going to be a balancing act between keeping the vine in best health but not too moist. Fertilize the vine at the start and end of spring for best results. If you are beginning with nursery stock or an air layer, you need to train the grapevine as a bonsai on a trellis. This is necessary. It will establish the vine, which is weak and likely to break easily. The simple solution to this weakness is to tie the vine onto a trellis. The vine will need to be grown on the trellis or support to ensure your work does not break, but also support any sacrificed branches. You'll need to keep it supported for the next 2 years or so. During late winter, you can prune back large branches. The focus will be ramification at first, followed by styling when doing this. Cut back to old growth from the last growing season each winter. Smaller or less important growth can be pruned throughout the growing season, and you will need to keep on top of this. You need to keep the growth of a grapevine in check as they grow very quickly each year. That is, they grow longer very quickly, but not necessarily thicker. If you do not prune, the vine will be very thin and weak with almost no styling whatsoever. A fruiting grapevine needs to be cut back each year to allow new growth on which the grapefruit will grow. This is compared to ornamental grapes. You do not need to prune them for fruit. This allows you to leave much more growth on the vine each year, and therefore the branches can thicken much faster. This has a further effect on thickening the trunk. This is one advantage to growing an ornamental grape versus a table, wine, or preserving grape. The grapevine bonsai needs between 8 to 10 hours of sunlight each day in order to get maximum results, although you don't want it in full sun. You want it to be partially protected. You also want to ensure that air circulates freely throughout the plant. At the same time, it can't tolerate extreme cold. This means you may need to bring it inside or somewhere protected during winter. The wires used on grapevines are essential, unfortunately. It doesn't necessarily respond very well to pruning to get the right shape. The challenge with this is that a wire cannot remain on the bonsai for more than 6 months. If you try that, you will very quickly find that the wires begin to cut in very, very harshly, and you will more than likely need to prune off any growth that you were trying to train with that wire, since the scars will run very deep and likely lead to the death of anything further down the branch from where that wire is. Grapevines are vulnerable to a number of pests. Like most bonsai, you should be aware of aphids, scale, and similar. These are of less concern compared to the fungal growth and bacterial diseases that affect grapevines far more often. Grapevines are especially vulnerable to fungus. and this is why you need to balance watering and ensuring airflow to minimize the chances of fungus or mold growing. As you can see, a great bonsai will grow very fast. It is resilient to most mistakes and does not have many requirements. The problems are that most of the growth is not ideal for bonsai, and it's more like wrestling the vine to a bonsai shape instead of coaxing it. This, along with the watering schedule requirements and the greater maintenance demands, makes it a rather unsuitable candidate for a beginner. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it interesting, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing.